Mahilig ka ba sa mga kuwentong katatakutan, makapanindig-balahibo at kakila-kilabot? Kung oo, halika at pasukin mo ang mundo ng kilabot.com. Mag-ingat, mapanganib ang iyong papasukin. Kilabot.com Philippine Horror Stories Collection Volume 1. Copyright 2019 by Precious Pages Corporation. My Sisters ni Rogelio Monis. Narrated by AJ Caloza. Ako ang Ate Maria mo at siya naman ang Ate Leti mo. Both were smiling at me and eyeing me, as if they were trying to memorize how I looked. I was already in the first grade when I learned about my real parents. I had always thought that my grandparents were my parents because they were the ones who had brought me up until that time. I had just arrived from school when my father came to pick me up. My grandfather introduced us to each other, and that was the start of the rest of my life. Years later, I would learn that I had been separated from my parents because of an old quack doctor's advice. This was also the time when I learned that, contrary to what I had first thought, I was not my parents' firstborn. I was their third child. Before me, they had two daughters separated by 2 years. Unfortunately, both my sisters died strange deaths when they were still very young, so I was deprived of the chance to actually meet them. Both my sisters succumbed to strange illnesses, which the doctors could not comprehend. After their second daughter suffered the same fate as the first, my parents sought the help of a local quack doctor. They had given up all hope on finding a scientific explanation to what befell their two daughters. The puzzled looks on the medical practitioners' faces had left them worried and shattered. After learning of their case, the quack doctor explained to my parents that what was plaguing the family was a curse. All their children would die at an early age if they would raise them themselves. And so it was agreed, when I was only a few months old, that my grandfather would take me away to raise me as his own, until it was believed that I was no longer in any danger. The separation, the quack doctor said, was the only way to break the curse that hung over our heads. Because of the fear of having to lose another child, my parents consented to the alternative the quack doctor gave them. When after a few years the quack doctor came back to tell them the curse had finally been broken, my father finally brought me back home. Finally, we were all free from the curse. Little or close to nothing had been told to me about my two elder sisters. I had seen old photographs of my father carrying two children, but I never got the chance to ask who they were. I always presumed that they were either cousins or friends' children. All that changed. However, when I reached 5th grade, it was during one lazy summer afternoon of that year when I finally got acquainted with my two late sisters. I was with two of my friends, and we had decided to go to the lake to fish. But hours passed, and we still had not caught anything. While my two friends continued fishing, I decided to take a nap under the nearby mango tree. That was when I had that dream. In my dream, I woke up to find myself on the very same spot where I remember having fallen asleep, beneath the mango tree. When I walked a few steps towards the lake, I saw my two friends still trying to catch fish. I knew that they were tired by then, and so I told them I could take their place while they take turns sleeping or eating. As I was trying to convince them to take a rest, we were surprised to see a large crowd of people coming towards our direction. The group was easy to spot from where we were because every one of them wore clothes that was shiny white and looked more like a robe. They formed a line that stretched to as far as the eyes could see. The group was singing a song when they passed by where my friends and I were huddled. We were marveling at the long queue they formed when suddenly two young ladies, who were probably just years older than us, stepped out of the line and approached us. Ayan si Rogelio, Letty. Siya ang kapatid natin. One pointed out to the other. Kamusta ka na, Rogelio? The younger girl asked. Ha? Paano niyo nalaman ang pangalan ko? I was puzzled. Ako ang Ate Maria mo, at siya naman ang Ate Letty mo. Both were smiling at me and eyeing me, as if they were trying to memorize how I looked. Ate? I was curious how this could have actually been possible. Oo, kami ang mga kapatid mo. The girl named Letty said. Wala akong kapatid, I said, thinking she might have just mistaken me for somebody else. Meron kang mga kapatid. Kami. The girl named Maria stressed. I looked at her intently, then at her companion. Come to think of it, they had a striking resemblance with my mother. I had seen Mother's pictures, which were taken when she was a teenager, and the two ladies in front of me looked pretty much like she did in those pictures. Paano, Rogelio? Mag-iingat ka. Mauna na kami, Letty said, cutting the conversation short, apparently realizing that they might lose their companions if they stayed with us much longer. Sige, mag-iingat din kayo, I said. I watched their group as they walked farther and farther away. When they were completely gone, I decided to go back to sleep. When I opened my eyes, I found myself under the same spot beneath the mango tree. My dream was so vivid that I could not help but remember easily the names of the two strangers. The fact that my dream took place on exactly the same spot where my friends and I decided to fish gave me the jitters. When I got home, I immediately told my mother about my dream. And I even mentioned to her the two names that had gotten stuck in my mind. Letty and Maria, I said. She was speechless when she heard the names. After a while, she decided to tell me the truth about my two sisters, who had indeed passed away, and who were actually named Letty and Maria. During All Saints' Day of that year, my parents finally allowed me to join them when they visited my two sisters' final resting place. There in the cemetery, I saw the first name, the small tombstones lying side by side. They read Letty Monis and Maria Monis respectively. And right then and there, I somehow knew that they were already in a much better place.
Ang kwentong ito ay bahagi ng kilabot.com Volume 1, Philippines Horror Story Collection.